Okay, guys. This demo is just to explain what are the things do we have in place in the system and how those have been scoped by SAP and how does it work, right? So when we talk about FSCM, right, that is something in SAP call it as a financial supply chain management. This is the extension of your core finance. So when we talk about core finance, right, mostly everyone talk about FICO, and FSCM is just the extension to it. Why it's an extension? Because there are two reasons to it. One, FSCM is nothing but again a sub-ledger concept, and moreover it is highly integrated with your FICO. So if any organization doesn't have a FICO, then there is no point to discuss about FSCM and the TRM stuff, because you need to have FI and the GL concept in place. Otherwise these modules can't even work, because that is something called as a dependency or the prerequisite for it. Okay, so now when we talk about FSCM, right, under financial supply chain management, we have various sub modules. Those are being called as, you have biller direct, collection management, dispute management, cash and liquidity management, in-house cash, BCMs. Somebody from this group also have experience to BAM, that is called as a bank account management, which is the extensive version of FI banking into S4HANA. And then we have the Treasury and Risk Management. So from SAP standpoint and from the customization node standpoint, TRM is a module under FSCM. But when we talk about the market or when we talk about the requirements, TRM is a separate animal. If you know the TRM, right, and you don't know FSCM, that is absolutely fine, because you have something which you are carrying with yourself, because one person cannot be expert in everything, to put it in that way, right? So in this demo, we are going to provide the FSCM overview, how the different concepts are there. So now if we look at this agenda, right, it says the FSCM overview, then we have what are the business partner we talk, then what is the transaction management, and under that we have money market, foreign exchange, securities, derivatives, hedge management, and their valuation kind of things. So this is a very high level agenda, nothing like more to facilitate over here. So now if you look at this slide, right, this is something which I just explained. So under FSCM, right, you have these many modules which comes as a part of your portfolio. If somebody wants to question that what is the bank account management, where does it get fit? So in the traditional world, when we have SAP ECC, right, under the cash and liquidity management, you had the cash management concept. But now in the traditional world, right, when we go for FBZP config, which is the prerequisite for banking, right, you need to define a house bank, and under that you need to create an account ID, which was a customized change. But at later point in time, and based upon the industry experience, client went back to SAP and raised the concern that as and when we open a new bank account, or in the existing bank account, if we make a small change, right, that small change has to go through the typical CAB process, right? Everybody understand what CAB is, right? You need to create a ticket, you need to create a CR that will go for n number of approval as per the client hierarchy or the protocol what you follow, right? Then you need to make a change in dev, move to quality, pre-prod, and then prod, right? It typically takes some time, right? That's why the SAP come up with the conclusion in S4HANA that this account management will be a non-transportable change, and that new functionality, call it as a bank account management, and it has been scoped under the cash management itself. That's why you don't find that as a separate module, but that functionality exists under cash and liquidity management. I hope I am clear. Any question so far?
Oh.
Okay, I'll take it as a no. So now when we talk about the collection management and the credit management, right? Credit management is something which helps you to prevent your credit risk, which is something you can control as per your organization. So we can assign a separate limit, right, to our different customers, and we want to deal in such a fashion that our business with the particular customer should not cross that particular threshold limit. Right? In the traditional world, we had a FD32, which was a part of FI, where we assign one of the limit to the customer, and then later we monitor them into the same screen, how much is being consumed, how much is being left, right? But later business realized that your AR, right, which is your account receivable, and the credit department works differently. They are two different departments, right? How does your credit department get to know that there is a sales order which you tried to create today, but because your limit has been breached, so we need to put a block on it. Delivery should not get happen, right? That's why FSCM credit management came into the picture, where we aligned or centralized these two departments at a single place. So what happens in this, when you try to create a sales order and limit is already being breached, you will get a warning message that, boss. So why I'm saying warning message, because you cannot put an error, because sales order is nothing but a revenue source for your organization. You can block the sales order, but you cannot tell your system that if the limit is being breached, I don't want to business with you. That is not something what business works for, right? So you will still create a sales order, but what system will do, immediately system will block the sales order. When it has a status as a block, your delivery department won't be able to make a delivery against that sales order. So in that case, what will happen, it will go to your credit team. Your credit team will review that why the limit is being breached, what are the reason for this. They will reach out to the customer. They will ask the customer to clear some of the earlier payments. So you will have a bandwidth available. After that only you will do the delivery. So that's how at a very high level, you do the credit management. By the same time, it comes to when you have an open invoice, right? As per your policy, you have like, you will deal with the customer with a different customer group. Based upon that, like for one of the customer group, you want to give them a 30 days credit. Another one, maybe a 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? But if that gets breached, how will you be notified? You have 10,000 invoice in your system, right? You cannot put up a workflow. So in the collection management, what happens, it is again highly integrated with your AR system, where it gets the list of all 10,000 invoice which are overdue today. So what it will do, based upon the business logic, we have done some of the configuration. Based upon that, one of the work lists will be generated, and all of the 10,000 items will be assigned to the different collection specialists. There is a very valid scenario in the real time. You have one customer with whom we have to recover 1 million. And we have one customer from whom we just need to recover $1,000. But from the layman's standpoint, you will say, boss, higher money associated with the customer A, so I should go to customer A because customer B only carries $1,000. But it's not in that way. From the business standpoint, your customer B, who is holding the portfolio just for $1,000, might be more risky for you compared to customer A. So this is what you do with the collection management. And the same way you go for the dispute management. So when you go to the customer to collect the money and customer says, boss, I don't want to pay you. So in that case, what will you do? You need to create a dispute, and then your legal team has to work on it. So that's how your collection, credit, and the dispute are highly integrated modules. One work with each other, and it is totally dependent or integrated with your FIAR. Guys, any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Now let's move to BCM and the in-house cash. So in the earlier world, when we only have a FI, right? In FI, what you do, you execute a payment run, it generates the payment file. That payment file goes to the bank, either through the middleware, host to host, whatever the way your client is being set up, right? Bank will make the payment. Now, at this stage, right, some of the client wants to have an approval workflow in place that before 2 level gets approved, your system should not generate a payment file, right? So this is something, because your payment run F110 is very dynamic in nature. It's not that straightforward. So to put up a Z workflow was not that easy. That's why SAP introduced BCM. With the help of the standard, you can achieve this workflow mechanism. There's a point number one. Another point number two, you sent a payment file with 10,000 record to the bank, or maybe like for the simplicity, let's say 100 record, right? When bank tried to make the payment, they were able to release the payment for 95, and 5 were being rejected. Maybe the beneficiary was wrong, or the vendor beneficiary bank like rejected the payment due to n number of reasons, right? So when it happens, how will you identify that out of 100, what are those 5 which are being rejected, right? So there is something in SAP in the technical language called as a status management, and that was the another feature given by BCM. And the third thing came up with the digital signature. That's why we use BCM in place when we try to do the payment run, either it's an AP payment or a treasury payment, right? We can leverage BCM where we can achieve the approval workflow, we can achieve the status management. These are the two features which are used by majority of the clients. And then we have in-house cash, where in-house cash helps to reduce the external bank accounts. So within the corporate, when we try to release the funds within the corporate between two different company codes, or the internal payment, which we call it as, that we can achieve through in-house cash. And even through in-house cash, let's say in India, we have one of the company who has a major office in Delhi and Bangalore, right? But they have very small office, let's say in Nagpur or some small cities in Maharashtra, right? Now, in that small entities, right, we don't want to open up an external bank account. So what we can do, whenever this small entity has to make a payment, it will route either through the head office through Delhi or the Bangalore one, right? So this is something we can achieve with the help of in-house cash, which makes your life easy in the terms of banking, and it reduces your dependency on the external banks, right? And then we have the final module in FSCM that is called as a Treasury and Risk Management. So in Treasury and Risk Management, what does it do? In FI, right, when we talk about, in FI, if somebody has to call it out, there are 2 to 3 modules we have majorly. One is called as AP, which covers under procure to pay. Then you have AR, which covers under O2C, and then you have the asset accounting. These are the major one what in FI we used to work, right? But as in corporate, right, when you are doing the business with like lakhs of customer, lakhs of vendor, right, and you have a profit, right? What company does? Company has to take an investment decision. At some point in time, they need to go into the market and invest the money into the, let's say you need to issue a bond, you need to issue a shares, or by the same time, if you need the funds, you need to borrow the funds from the market. For that, either you are taking a loan, or if you have the surplus cash, you are doing a fixed term deposit with the banks. By the same time, you are giving a guarantee. By the same time, you have a letter of credit. And in India, if some of the corporates are working the international business and they need to repay something in the USD dollar, you need to get into the FX contract where you need to buy USD and sell INR, right? So you have a different financial instrument. So the same thing what we do with our trading account on a daily basis, right? But that is something at the individual level what we do. But as a corporate, when you are investing the money into the different financial instruments, which are huge in the terms of numbers, right? When you issue a bond, it will not be a kind of a lakh or a 2 lakh, right? It will go as a like 50 crore, 100 crore kind of thing, right? You cannot manage those portfolio when your entire organization is running on ERP system, right? So when you think about the TRM, what does it do? It's again a sub-ledger concept. But that is highly integrated with your financial accounting, because when you capture these financial instrument, let's say you have taken a loan or you have given a loan, right? How will you do the accounting? Accounting has to sit in your financial accounting, where you will supply them the GL account, where the actual accounting will happen, and the data will also get pulled up for your group reporting. Then only your finance manager or your CFOs can see the entire portfolio as a finance, that what is my portfolio on the TRM side looks like, and what investment decision do I need to take? Am I in a position to do some hedging in the market, or am I in a position to invest more money into the market? How do I prevent my risk? So these are the financial decisions what CFO or your treasury director takes by looking at the portfolio of your TRM.